Hi, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper. I have finished this huge journal. I'm laughing because it's just, it's almost ridiculously big. This is just awesome. So this journal, this junk journal is 8 1/4 by 13 1/4. It's the biggest journal I've ever made. It lengthwise. So this is an officer's roll book from the Beacon Lodge. It started in the 1930s and it went up to the 1950s. And it's beautifully worn on the marbled cover here. And on the back, it's even more worn. It's just fantastic. This is a custom journal for a wonderful client of mine down in the States. And she asked to have the front filled with crochet and lace. So I've got about 5 different kinds of crochet on here and lace. And then I made this wonderful removable bangle out of some vintage beads. And let's take a look inside this ginormous junk journal that is completely filled with authentic, antique, and vintage ephemera, except for some tea-dyed pages. She wanted extra tea-dyed pages in here. So I've got a lot of clusters because the pages are 12 inches. That's super big. So actually they're almost 13 inches, these. So I've got some 50s recipe book pages. This is a wonderful royal family biography book page here from the 50s as well. We've got some antique journal pages, and this is a 1950s American road map atlas page. And I really love this here. I made the pocket out of an art book called Art Education, my apologies, as well as this one here. And this is something that is very collectible. It's on different types, and because it's from the early 1900s, very, very cool. So I turned it into a pocket antique book page here. And then in here, I put some drawings from a 1930s children's book and antique papers on the back. So you can journal on there. And that is a tiny plate from Currier and Ives, 1907. Is that neat? So I'll just set them aside there. This is a page from another officer's roll book, one of the more modern ones, just so that you can see how that would have lived in there. This is a wonderful page from the English garden book from the early 1900s as well. And normally I would have to cut this down to fit into a book, but look at how spectacular it looks in here. I love it. Vintage atlas page there. And another flip side of that royal family biography page. Look at this lark in a vintage dictionary page here. And this is from a 1920s school scrapbook. It's a bit brittle, but nice and thick and strong. Unless you fold it, it will crack, but otherwise it's fine. Now, this is a little pixie from a children's book, Pixie Playland. And there's the pixie again. And this girl's nickname is Pixie. So that is awesome. This is from 1913 Irving Berlin. It was a music sheet cut down. Just the most wonderful clusters on here. I'm really happy. That's a piece of the 1907 book here. London, the first city. Polly Wally Doodle. Look at that. That's from the 1920s, that little page. 1915 Girls' Own Annual Book page. Another English garden book page here. Look at the wonderful aging on these. This is the cover of a music sheet booklet here. And this is another one of the Pixie Playland pages. Isn't that wonderful? And again, I have been taking wonderful children's illustrations and antique papering the back for journal spots. Beautiful piece of vintage crochet here. And again, I didn't have to cut it. That's made me very happy. More children's book pages. This is from 1964 Illustrated London News, January 4th. Isn't that pretty? Another cluster on the back here. Lovely bird illustrations from a children's book. Little belly band here from the English garden page. And this is also from the 1905 Art Education book. Look at that lovely color illustration. This would have been how to draw blossoms and fruit. And she can stuff more in here. And this belly band is made from an antique book spine, and this is a page out of that photo album that I've been using. And this family here on a porch, and then looks like they've been on a hike here down by a waterfall. Is that fantastic? Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Another Girls Own annual page here is a check from the 1950s from the Ford. That's a Ford Motor Company check. And it's Lewisburg, Tennessee, but look at this awesome car image there. Isn't that great? $188. Well, they probably bought a whole car for that. I'm just kidding. But yeah, another children's book image, squirrel and a bunny, and pearl shop receipt from the 50s. Another bit of crochet here, turned into a pocket. More fun clusters. A tag here I made out of vintage ephemera and some birch bark. Another antique book page here on top of an antique music sheet. And this is a beautiful, look at this, Dance of the Brownies. So if you're into fairies and pixies, the Dance of the Brownies would be something that would interest you. Here's a book collector's page for Italy, 1911 to 28. Just some tapestry here, antique tapestry. Look at this beautiful, these plates from the English Garden Book. Look at that. The photography looks like it was taken last week. It's just fantastic. And that's the flip side of that beautiful opera booklet here. Look at how gorgeous this is. It is awesome, and that's extremely old. A Jamaica stamp collector's page here. Another music sheet page, and she can do her own. She does a lot of artwork, I believe, and this is a beautiful Orvetta waltz piece here. More. I left some blank so that she could do her own with this, so I left some cluster free. Here's a little paper clip here, and inside here is just some inspirational sayings here. Little image there, and then this is the days of her life. I thought that was wonderful. Isn't that great? So that's just a nice little journaling spot there. And over here is a wonderful 1950s women's magazine page from Germany, but the images are just fantastic. This is a piano player roll box bookmark. Lovely little image there from 1905. And 1937 folklore fables and fairy tales page. Look at how cool this one is. So this was a school project that this girl did, and I'm going to reinforce this a bit, but first I wanted to show you how they had attached this back in 1923, and her project was on mountains. So you can see these lovely images of mountains here that she's cut out of, looks like it might have been a magazine. And the roll call, vintage birds from a vintage bird book, and one of the 1902 Currier and Ives plates here. This one is the Mississippi, and on the flip side is the New York Yacht Club Regatta plate. Very collectible as well. Isn't that fun? That's from the 1907 London Times book, and that's from a London newspaper. And I put in a bunch of vintage stamps in here in this little glassine envelope. And this here is from 1907, October 12. And it's a lovely little postcard there with sheep on it. And that brings us to the end. So I hope she loves it. I absolutely loved making this for her. And it's going to go out and live with her, with the rest of her little journal collections. And I hope you will visit my Etsy shop so you can see other journals like this one, hyperstamper.etsy.com. And don't forget to subscribe. Have a great night.